One thing I always say is work smarter, not harder. If you aren't using the Solo app, then you may be working harder. So let's change that. Download the app, link your accounts where you can manage your income, track your expenses, and project your taxes. Not only that, but you can plan by optimizing your time, make more, and even guarantee your daily pay with guaranteed earnings. Download Solo and begin to work smarter, not harder today. Link is in the description. All right, let's get back to it.
Hey everybody, it's Sergio with the RideShare Guy. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Wheel. Today I'm joined by David from Cleveland, Ohio. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sergio.
So David is going to obviously introduce himself, how many trips, how many years. Once he does that, we'll get into the particulars of the conversation. So go ahead and do that, David.
So like Sergio said, my name's David. I live in the Cleveland area currently. I've been a driver for 6.5 years, roughly, going on 7, and I have 15,553 trips under my belt.
Yeah, he just looked at it, so I can confirm that he does have 15,000 trips. So give me a little flavor about who you are, like what you did before and why you got into rideshare. And obviously we found out you're doing it for 6.5 years, so you're a veteran of your city. So, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So I've had a lot of jobs over many years. First, I started with food, like any teenager. Then I went into retail for a little bit. Then I went into government security, working for the TSA. Then I worked for another security firm that secured a nuclear power plant. So I was armed security for about 6 to 9 months. Went back to hotel work. I started hotel work after that. And then I just started driving for Uber in 2017 in September, just as a way to make extra money. And then once I actually moved to the Cleveland area, it became something that I saw that I could make a ton of money doing. Yeah. And so I went full time. And that's kind of the gist.
Okay. What kind of car do you drive, by the way?
Right now, I drive a 2020 Nissan Pathfinder.
Okay. Does that allow you to do XL or?
Yes.
No?
Yeah. Okay. I chose that vehicle so I could do as many rides as possible, given what I have the ability to do. Okay. I was thinking about doing black for a while, but those are incredibly expensive, and that's not feasible.
Yeah, we do have a good audience. Yeah, I mean, it's the right car. I mean, you're not stuck with just doing Uber X, right? The lower platform. Right. You have a choice. You can do a lot of, events and parties and airport trips and things like that. But
absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about the Cleveland market. I mean, how's the market? The good, the bad,
Cleveland market.
When you started to now, what you've seen, the progression or the regression?
Well, the Cleveland market has been pretty strong. There's constantly rides available. Back in 2021, when I started in the Cleveland market, the rides were priced phenomenally. It was very easy to make a living. I could make $1,800 to $2,000 in a weekend versus what I'm making now. And, that's 33 to maybe 35 hours worth of driving back then. Yeah. Now, nowhere near it.
Why do you think that is?
Well, honestly, I think that is due to Uber changing how everything's been working since they started with, going public with their IPO back in 2019. They've been paving the way slowly but surely to, as you guys would say, boil the frogs alive. And, they're constantly pulling the rug from underneath our feet, and it just sucks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the case with a lot of drivers, in our community as well. I mean, this is what we're seeing, especially after upfront fares. Do you have upfront fares in Cleveland?
We do have upfront fares.
How do you like it? I mean, I think it's a pretty good deal, but I think the pay sucks.
The pay definitely sucks. I think the upfront fares is probably the best thing that's happened to Uber for a while, if it wasn't for that black box algorithm.
Yeah. So It keeps catching my eye. Obviously, it's going to catch the eye of the audience that watches this. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that blue Uber shirt that you're wearing. Like,
Uh,
why do you wear it? Why did you even buy the damn thing? So, like,
the reason I bought it was to make my passengers feel a little bit more comfortable and safe in my vehicle. Not thinking that I'm just some schmuck picking them up. Obviously, I am, but just kind of make it a little bit easier on them because back in 2017, it was still relatively new. The area that I was driving in before didn't have Uber until I think 2016. So it was
yeah,
still a new thing for those people too. Not to mention, I wanted, if I had to go pick up an event, I wanted the police or the security to know, hey, I'm just some guy picking up a guy or a
yeah,
girl or whatever. Same thing as like if police come and like I accidentally speed or I make a wrong turn in a place that I'm not familiar with. Well, the police walk up, they say, okay, he has an Uber shirt on, he has an Uber light in his vehicle.
yeah,
He's obviously working. He's
yeah.
probably not from here. I'll give him some leniency.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, you may get some heat in the comments from that, but
Eh,
I see nothing wrong with it, honestly. I mean, look, Uber does not consider us employees, obviously, right?
right,
And
right,
most of the time, employees would be wearing a logo shirt with a hat, with a baseball hat that says Uber. But in
right.
his case, I think he has a good point. I mean, so, yeah, I mean, would I wear one? Probably not. Because look, the other thing is, a lot of drivers multi-app, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm multi-apping between Lyft and Uber, like what am I going to do? Change shirts? you know, yeah,
Get a
I have the
shirt with
Lyft,
Uber
I have a
and
Lyft.
Lyft.
Exactly. So no, but I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think, but this is what Uber does not understand, that the driver is the brand, right? The
Right,
driver is the face of the company, not the CEO, not all these guys that talk bunch of hocus pocus, right?
right.
He is the face of the company for those 20 minutes or half hour or whatever that has a
Yeah.
passenger in the car, right? Uber, are you listening to this? Okay. But so we talked about your market a little bit. We talked about who you are.
Hmm.
We'll talk about your plan Bs and your future plans and how long you want to keep doing this. But one of the reasons, I'm doing this interview with David is that he's been sending me these videos. Specifically, he sent me a couple, I think it was last week. And,
Yeah.
you know, uh, this is what drivers do, Uber. Watch this or listen to this. I have the video. I watched it a couple times and I was like, holy shit, this is just out of control for $5. Okay. What drivers go through for $5 in a single day. Okay. Or a couple $100, earnings goal that they have when they leave their house. So I'm going to let you talk about your exciting day. That happens to have, what did you call it? Two hits in one day or something like
Two
that.
blows one night.
Two blows in one night. There we go. All right. You
Yeah.
have the floor. You go right ahead and get into it.
So I'm going to make this quick and succinct because I tend to exaggerate and I tend to very detailed tell a story, but we don't have that much time.
Well, we don't have
So
that much time, but I watched the video. I mean,
yeah.
look, you can
So for
do,
for
yeah.
those of you out there watching this, the gist is I was going to a gentleman's club or a strip club. I didn't know if it was a stripper or just people out on a Saturday night wanting to have some fun and going to another place. I go to the location. I'm watching what's going on because they had a clear walkthrough or walkway, and she was not behaving properly. Let's just say, and she did some things to their security members or their POs, whatever you want to call them. She spit on them, and she came running to my car, threw her bag into the car, giving no concern for my personal property, and hopped in the car, yelled at me to go. I saw at the same time the security people coming out, and because I knew she was going to be a problem, I didn't really want to take her anyway. And but before I even had a chance to do anything to accept the trip, start it, whatever, they grabbed on the door. They ordered me to roll down my window. They yelled at me not to move. They said she was going to jail because he was assaulted. And then they tried to pull her out of the vehicle and threatened her on multiple occasions to pepper spray her. I'm an asthmatic. I have respiratory issues. So pepper spraying inside of my car was going to be a death sentence for me, potentially. You know, and then having the pepper spray linger as a cloud in the car, it would have gotten everywhere. I wouldn't have been able to drive the car. I would have had it towed. I would have had to have a detailing done for over $100 plus maybe even more. God only knows. And yeah, eventually they ordered me out of the vehicle because she was not complying. Once I got out of the vehicle, they did put the pepper spray into her face and told her they will spray her. She relented. She got out of the car. She booked. I took all of her shit out of the car and put it in her bag and said, fuck this, and got out.
Yeah, I mean, one reason he can tell the story is because he has a dash cam. As we say to everybody, this is a must. I don't care if you're driving 10 hours a day or night. He has dash cam footage and all of this. And by the way, when he said, you know, she threw the bag in the car, it was not a bag. This was like a regular suitcase.
Yeah, it was a hard-sided
suitcase. Without regard to his leather seats in his car, she opened the door and chucked it, right? And I'm going like, wow, this is going to go sideways real fast without me knowing the particulars of the story, but it's very true. So, you know, this is what we deal with. Is this what you're tired of, really? I mean, dealing with these passengers after 6.5 years and 16,000 trips?
Honestly, it's not so much the passengers at this point. It's the low pay, honestly. Yeah. You know, Dara Khosrowshahi saying, oh, well, they get $32, they get $33 on average before expenses. Okay, that might be true. My averaging in Cleveland is about $34.04 an hour.
Yep.
But that doesn't consider all the wear and tear, the gas, the insurance, everything. My insurance has gone up multiple times because they know I'm an Uber and they know that I'm driving a stupid amount of miles. The other blow that happened to me that same night was after I called and reported all of this to Uber and came home for a moment to pull the footage from the camera just to make sure it didn't get overwritten. I did about 3 more trips. And suddenly my app went offline. And I was like, wait, why is my app offline? Why am I not getting trips? It was busy. It was surging everywhere. And then I looked in my account and, you know, gave me the red banner of death. And it said my account was blocked. And then I looked and I saw that I had a message from Uber saying that I was deactivated because I was reported for being intoxicated while on the Uber platform. Wow. And that is not something that would ever occur. And this is the 4th time this has happened because some schmuck out there wanted a free ride or whatever. So they reported me erroneously.
Do you drive the night shift usually?
Yes, I drive the night shift because a lot of the drivers here in Cleveland don't know how to drive. It's very dangerous. So I'd prefer to drive when there's less people out. Plus, I'm sensitive to light, so the sun out isn't the greatest for my eyes.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, you know, Sergio's more, right? But then you're dealing with people like her that, you know.
Yeah, but honestly, Serge, they are 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 1,000,000. It's not all that often, but it's the ones that I mentioned to you in email that, you know, really stand out from the crowd.
Yeah. And so, you know, let's say that ordeal is over and then somebody unjustly, you know, accused you of something obviously you didn't do. How did that ordeal end up? How did that finish?
They suspended me for about 36 hours, which is
no pay.
No pay, obviously. That ruined my Saturday. That ruined my Sunday. That ruined my potential to get the bonus that we had for this weekend. It wasn't the greatest, but it was still extra money. Yeah. I would have walked away with probably $1,400 or $1,500 after the bonus. Instead, I only walked away with about $1,025, something like that.
Yeah. So Uber did put some sort of review process that you can get back on quicker if you're accused of unjustly, you know, being under the influence. You could have gotten a blood test. You could have taken advantage of all these things, right?
Unfortunately, that's the fine details they don't tell you about.
Yeah.
Because
Well, tell us all about it.
I asked Uber what was the deal with the supposed testing that they were going to do, and basically they said I wasn't eligible for it. They said that it had to be something that occurred from somebody who was going to lose access to the platform completely, as well as it had to be under the influence of drugs, and it had to be done in a timely fashion. So this tells me, just from being somebody who can read between the lines, I wasn't reported for something I did Saturday night. Somebody was reporting me from days ago.
Yep. Yep. I mean, see, this is the problem in this industry, right? We have a saying in this country, we all know, innocent until proven guilty.
It's guilty until proven innocent, unfortunately.
We're the only people on this, seriously, in the United States, as rideshare drivers or gig workers, we have to prove our innocence somehow.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately it is. And then, we have a few more minutes, but I don't want to just talk about all negative, but I ask this to every interview that I do. During every interview, give me a couple of reasons you like about rideshare and give me a couple of reasons you dislike. I'm not going to say hate, dislike about rideshare.
Right. Dislike strongly.
Dislike strongly. You can cuss if you like. It's okay.
I love Uber for a few reasons. A, not having a boss. B, working when I want to work. Not having to, be under the whip and crack of another slave driving boss telling me what I can and cannot do for a certain period of time. I like the ability that I can turn off the app, go watch a movie if I'm working during daytime, take a few hours to unwind, especially if I had something like this happen to me during the day, and then get back out there with a good mindset and just continue with what I do. The reason I hate it, well, I would say strongly dislike it, is, as I've said before, the pay. The pay has become the most pressing issue. I have put a ridiculous amount of miles on my vehicle as a full-time driver. And I am a full-time driver because I have a roommate who's visually impaired. He's diabetic. He needs me to be able to take him to appointments and to work and, all the other various things that we all do in life. And it affords me the ability to provide that for him. But I can't continue to do it because I'm destroying my car. It's only 4 years old and I've put so many miles on it. It's like I had been driving it for 10.
Wow.
Right now, my odometer sits at about just under 254,000 miles. And I bought it with 37,000 back in 2021.
Yeah. So you drove
in
70,000 miles every year. Yeah.
Easily, yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So obviously, you keep doing it, right? I mean, look, I talk to a lot of drivers who complain about pay, but they keep doing it, right?
Yep.
And people push back on this when I say this. Like, nobody's putting a gun to anybody's head to do this. Just you can delete the app and just move on. Forget about Uber, that it ever existed in your life, which is difficult. But, it's kind of an addiction too, right? I mean, we're addicted to this. That we just push a button on and then potentially there is some money at the end of that button, right?
Right.
But why keep doing it if you're so unhappy?
The biggest issue that I have right now is that I have a very bad hip. I can't be on my feet for more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes in most situations. And, most jobs are going to be requiring me to be on my feet all day.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily qualified to go sit and work as a secretary or a phone call center person or any of those things because I don't like being under pressure.
Yeah. No, I mean, I give you that. I mean, a lot of people do like the flexibility and the freedom that they have. But 6.5 years is a long time. 15,000 trips is a long time. 200 some thousand miles is a long way to go in a car, right?
Yeah.
You're a young man. I mean, we all should have, we always say this on the channel, use these apps towards a plan B that you're working on, because these apps, like you were unjustly, right, suspended, let's say, but it could have been a permanent deactivation.
It could have. I feel bad for anybody. I feel bad for any of the new drivers coming on the platform because one of the biggest things I can tell you from every single time I've been deactivated unjustly, they've always come back and said, "Oh, you're part of the top 25 percent of earners in Cleveland. You've done so many trips. You've been with us for so many years. We know it's not a small thing. Thank you for your blah, blah, blah." Newbies aren't going to have that. Newbies aren't going to have a massive record where mostly what I get is 5 stars.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And so tell me a little bit about your plan Bs, if you have any, because you can't keep doing this. I mean, like you said, car, right? You need a new car pretty soon. I mean, hopefully you have your finances together to do that.
Plan B is actually getting my CDL, being sponsored by a company to get my CDL. Unfortunately, I don't have the best credit. So I'm not easily able to get a loan. And then, the only reason I haven't started getting my CDL yet is I do have a few driving things on my record that is about to expire. So it's playing a waiting game, honestly.
All right. I mean, so it still involves driving though, right? I mean,
right. Yeah.
I mean, obviously you like driving, you like what you're doing.
Yep.
And I, we have a couple of minutes remaining, so it doesn't have to be rideshare advice, right? I mean, you've seen a lot in Cleveland. From the videos you sent me, the dash cam footage you sent me, you've seen a lot. I'm like, wow, this is out of control. But seems like Cleveland maybe a little different vibe than a lot of other cities, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure, drivers pick up these types of passengers all the time.
Most definitely.
But give us some advice. Give our audience some advice. You have a couple of minutes remaining. It doesn't have to be RideShare. It could be life advice. It could be anything.
The best advice I could give you out of my 40 years of being on this planet is very basically do what makes you happy. Don't sit there and toil away and slave just because you have to. Find what makes you happy. Find something that, you want to do with your life and work towards that. My plan C, honestly, is to get enough money together so that I can self-publish a novel that I've had written for 18 years.
Yeah. I mean, see, this is, we say this all the time, you got to enjoy your time on this planet because you're on it for a limited period of time. And, I couldn't have said it better myself. So here's David from Cleveland, Ohio. And he does have some exciting footage. We cannot show it on our channel, but I have watched it and I'm like, wow. I go, this is a lot to go through to make a few bucks here and there. It really is. But then luckily it's not about that. And the interview wasn't about the occurrences or bad experiences. I mean, he told it, he told it the way he feels it. And I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome, Sergio.
And, we'll keep in touch and keep me posted and with everything that goes on in your life and in your rideshare life as well.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the RideShare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel as well as amazing content on our channel.